Hello and welcome to KMTV. This is a live Facebook broadcast and we are streaming live from the USA. My name is Nathan Charles. On today's edition of the program KMTV, we ask that you just log onto our page and copy the link and share KMTV and share this broadcast. We are discussing major issues in Liberia, looking at sexual and gender-based violence and what is the government doing? What are people engaged in that country? What are they doing? Partnering with other people. So we ask you to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend to share this broadcast. And today I have with me a few Liberians, two of them based in the USA, while another is in Liberia. Telvina she's in the USA, and Steve Bodie, he's in the USA also. Samuel Zabi is in Liberia. Welcome, gentlemen, to this special interview. How are you doing, Telvina?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good.
Samuel, can you unmute yourself? Steve, how are you doing too?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much.
Samuel, how are you doing? How is Liberia?
Well, Liberia is good. We are here managing. We know, it's not easy, but we are here managing, and we make sure things will go fine.
Okay. So these people are my guests on today's edition, and we're talking sexual and gender-based violence issue in Liberia. As you and I know, that is on the rise in Liberia. So we ask that you please listen to what they are about to say. What efforts are they making by creating awareness and other issues on sexual and gender-based violence? Let me start this discussion by asking you, Samuel, tell me, what's the situation? Tell me about your group first. Tell me about your group.
Okay, thank you very much. The Liberia Sexual Gender-Based Violence Awareness Group comprises group of professional people from diverse background who have the passion to combat gender-based violence in Liberia. And so we decided to amalgamate our efforts, strategize, and see how best we can fight gender-based violence and the reoccurrences of gender-based violence in Liberia through advocacy. And we also have 3 thematic areas that we're going to be tackling. We call it the triple A's. That's the awareness and the assessment and action. And within the action will be, as you follow this particular broadcast, will be explained to you the in the action. In fact, the 3 thematic areas will tell you everything what we are doing there. But basically, we are on advocacy. We are there to create awareness and try to sensitize, the public and community dwellers and stakeholders, people in positions, to tell them that gender-based violence must stop, and they themselves should join a campaign, to speak against gender violence.
Okay, that's very much good. Let's go over to you, Telvina. Tell me, what is sexual and gender-based violence?
So, sexual and gender-based violence is any kind of violent act performed on an individual. It can be economical, it can be physical, it can be psychological. So there are different forms, but any form of violence performed on an individual, it is considered that.
So how can economic sexual violence occur? Somebody listening to you say, how do that occur?
So in a situation like places like in Liberia, where you're in a family where you and I are married, and because you're the breadwinner, you deprive me of those of those economic resources. So because you're my self-fasting today, you do not give me money, and I'm not working. I'm home taking care of the children. So you deprive me of those allowances. You deprive me of those things that I should meet my basic needs that you would provide under normal circumstances. Also, you deprive me of working. So all of that, it's a form of violence. Just because we're fasting or in a marriage, or because of power and control, most of all.
Steve, tell me, why are you part of this group?
Well, thank you so much. every time I personally have the opportunity to speak to the Liberian people, there are two major things I like to do. The first thing I like to do is to acknowledge the Liberian people that they are the most important people on earth. And that's an honest belief that I carry. I also like to recognize the Liberian women. I believe the Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth. I believe so. And that's a belief I carry as well. But why am I part of this group? You know, sometimes people don't know people and they have to get to know people. I'm part of this group because I believe the cause for women, children, and some men, boys as well, the cause for fighting against abuse in any way, shape, or form is paramount to me, and it's personal to me as well because I think this is one of the way to move our nation forward to protect our people against abuse, especially women, children, and some men, but to also expose some of these things to corrupt, to collaborate, and to educate our people on how we can move forward as a nation. Because I can say to you today, when someone is not psychologically okay, there is nothing they can do that will be okay. So I believe we need to continue this conversation to educate our people and to empower them, which is more important to me.
Oh, that's very great. Thanks very much. And let's go over to you, Samia. You being in Liberia, and tell our audience. Samia, can you unmute yourself? I'm trying to unmute you and I can't. Tell our audience. Do we have the issue of sexual and gender-based violence still ongoing in our country, Liberia, and the level of damage it is causing?
Thank you very much for that question. If if we were to reveal the number of cases that has to do with gender-based violence, in fact, let me just make a clarity. Sexual gender-based violence is one aspect of the broad spectrum gender-based violence. So Tia was trying to explain to you, psychological violence, that is just one aspect of it. The economic violence, physical violence, sexual violence is the focus. Because if you look at sexual violence, it actually has a kind of connection to psychological violence, which will make you or the victim to have a mental breakdown, and that person will not be able to function. So going back to your question, the number of cases we have the issue of sexual gender-based violence to be prevalent is just recurring every now and then, but there are that few cases that are reported. Why? With the experience I've had working with an NGO called Center for Project Concern International, where I had the opportunity to go into the greater Liberia, into the landward counties. There are places where vehicles cannot go easily. There are places where we have like just a health post. We don't have, medical services being provided to the people. People have to walk distances, 3, 4, 5 hours to go to the market grounds, and those are the areas where they have medical services provided to them just one day, and not just just like first aid. You understand what I mean? Just like first aid. So to answer your question, we trying to create a mechanism or a medium through which these cases can come out and let the public know. So I would say yes, gender-based violence based on our ideology we're going to discuss today as part of our talking point. What are the causative factors of gender-based violence? And with that, you will be able to know whether indeed we still have gender-based violence occurring or whether the cases, are low in Liberia. But I will tell you, the cases are low. And at the end of this discussion today, you will be able to know, or the public will be able to understand that indeed we have gender-based violence that is just recurring in the numbers every now and then, but they are unreported. And we'll be able to get clue that indeed, yes, the cases are more.
Telvina, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on the data and the stats because that's I'm very passionate about data because data speaks to a lot. It makes her it gives her a lot of information. When we look at the data, even with not even being Liberia, but when we just look at reports, past reports, whether it be from gender or whether past reports from the UN or other places or other private entities that have done research, it tells us that you know the stats are alarming. The numbers they're disturbing. Even now with COVID, we see a huge increase on the news every day, every second, every minute, every hour. We see people coming forth, which is a good thing. They're speaking up more and more, whether it be through the awareness or social media. But people are speaking up, and we see the numbers, just the increase and the increase of different acts of violence. And so overall it's chilling, and so that's why we're here to talk about it and discuss way forward.
Steve Bode, can you tell us what are the trickle effects, what trigger these issues of sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia?
Well, there, and I like the fact that you've restricted the question to Liberia, because you see, it is important for us to understand this from a not only a national perspective, but from a cultural standpoint as well. Over the years, what has happened is we've ignored one of the causes of gender-based violence to be psychological or mental. We've also ignored substance such as drugs and other things, which can either lead to prostitutions and other things like that. Another thing we have not been able to reckon with as a nation, or we as a people have not been able to come together to say, yes, we want to agree that this has been a ritualistic practice in our times, and in times before us. It's also been a religious practice where people think as though they're in these little societies, these little groups, wherein they use this thing for literary reasons, and it has the ability to affect the country. But not only that, there has also been the financial component of it, wherein somebody got money, and so all the young girls, or most of the young girls, got to be on a god pa level, or the young boys got to be on a god man level. And then I think again, it's the lack of information and education to our people, just empowering women and children, people who are in authority, people who are in places of power, and they most times are the perpetrators. They are the one committing the acts, and it will be shocking to you to understand that from a cultural standpoint, we've made it a norm. We've made it a norm wherein people don't want to talk about it. It becomes a taboo. You can't report the big man because the big man did something to you. Let's just talk about it. Let the big man get you some more money, and y'all go talk about it, or y'all go to the church. Let the pastor just, counsel y'all, and everybody just walk away. And people leave from there very hurt, and people leave from there abused, and people leave from there feeling powerless. And these are some of the things that we want to throw light on to empower our people, so that not only that they are able to speak out, but people in authority are able to ensure that the law is enforced and people are held accountable for these kind of things. These are ways that we can address these things.
Samuel, you spoke about the issue of sexual and gender-based violence is underreported. What are you doing as an organization or as a movement to create more, encourage more people to report these issues?
Okay, thank you very much. As part when we started the discussion, I talked about the AAA. So the AAA is just the action plan. All right, the action plan that we have to make sure that, number one, the awareness will kind of explain to people the causative factors of gender-based violence and the side effect, the impact, the effect, the result of gender-based violence. So if you're going to create your awareness, and then you kind of electing the people, because some people don't even believe, they don't even know that some of their actions are gender issues. For instance, traditional belief, like Steve was talking, cultural belief and practices. So that mentality of masculine gender being dominant, and the woman is the property of the woman is the property of the man, and just in case of any sort of disagreement, the man has that right to beat the woman at any time, lay her down and beat her. Or in some culture, if a woman happen to violate any norms and values, they carry her publicly and disgrace her, beat her. And there are a lot of things. And people, our society, they accept. So we want to tell them in the awareness aspect that no, don't accept the issue that woman does not have the right to speak up her grievances. Woman does not have the right to make decisions in public. Woman does not have the right or be does not have the right to work and earn a very good money. Woman does not have the right to play a certain role in society. So we need to sensitize, create that gender sensitivity in the minds of people who will be perpetrators, people who are possibly to be perpetrators. We want to bring them aboard, change their mentality, change their ideology, those norms, cultural values that they believe over the years. They grew up with it. So we're talking about the custody factors of gender violence. Yes, I grew up, for instance, looking at my mother, my father beating my mother. And I feel that, oh yes, that's the way it is. That's how it should be. I'm the man. So if when I get big also, I know that and I believe that I'm supposed to beat my wife. My wife does not have to talk back to me or express her grievances. So that cultural belief, that upbringing, it stays. So going into the remote part of Liberia, sensitizing, creating that awareness, looking at the placement of the people who we believe are carriers, are perpetrators, are practicing, and we need to bring them on board. We need to transform their mind, community dwellers. We need to transform their mind, their ideology about the causative factors and the effect. Now, if you tell someone,
I mean, somebody would say we need practical action, Samuel, and not just something on the book.
No, but
we need practical action laws.
Thank you. Yeah, the practical action is not just about law. Our concern is not just to go to the legal aspect, even though the legal aspect is one of it, but where it starts from, that where we want to go and change the ideology or the mentality of those who will be perpetrators. That is the awareness aspect. Then the second aspect is that of the assessment. We will assess as we create the awareness, we assess those localities, those communities, those environments that have the high cases of gender issue. Then we make those localities, those environments, those terrains to be a point of interest. Then our action, like we talk about the action, not just to go and talk. No, what are our action? We will be we are drawing up action plans to see how best we can collaborate with stakeholders, people who share similar dreams, similar vision, who have similar goals. So we collaborate with them, because in the issue of gender violence, you have medical issue coming up, you have psychological issue coming up, you have legal issue coming up. We have reintegration and rehabilitation programs coming up to help the victims. So as part of our action plan to say, yes, we're not just talking, but we are putting our feet on the ground. We are going doors to doors, meeting stakeholders.
How soon do we expect concrete results? Let me come to Telvina. Just last year, 21 years old Odell Shimon was raped to death by somebody in a well-known person. We also heard about a 24 years old person in April of last year was forced into the Senate Society. These are issues of sexual and gender-based violence. What is your group doing to hold government feet to the fire duty bearers or to raise more awareness?
So I'm glad you asked that, because I was going to chime in on what Samuel said. So the action has to be on several levels, and like the Samuel talking about. But part of that, holding our government feet to the fire, is we're looking at the entire process. We have to go to the root cause of these problems to be able to resolve the issue. So as part of this process, we're engaging communities, we're collaborating with others. At the same time, we're holding our government accountable. We're holding the duty bearers responsible. we found out that there are laws on the books. We have a gender policy that is very good. In that policy, they have a monitoring evaluation criteria and a formula there that they are not consistently followed. They have a ministry of education policy that is not consistently followed. We have laws on the books. We also have laws where a man can beat his wife, domestic violence case, and the maximum sentencing is 6 months. Those are laws that need to be amended. So we're looking at actions on every, a lot of levels. The issue of, Odell, I'm so sorry to hear, even up to this day, that she did not get justice. And so those are things we need to be looking at the access to justice. It must be visible. Citizens must be aware of that. There has to be a clear pathway. It must be spelled out in every way, not just on paper, but it must be there for survivors to follow. So there must be a survivor-sensitive program and pathway for others to follow. So we're engaging the population or the government on several levels. We have a lot of plans in place that we're looking into, but at the same time, as we're doing the assessment, we're going forward with the awareness, like we're on your show now, because we want to enable our people to speak up more and more, and which we say we're doing, and giving them their rights, giving them the power that you don't deserve this, you don't need to be in this relationship, helping them to safety plan. It is important. In violent relationships, it is important that a safety plan. So a lot of levels, we're looking at a lot of actions, if that answers your question.
So Steve, let's look at the issue of counseling, talking to people who have been victimized, family members from SGBD. What are you doing? What steps are you taking? And not just writing documents. Are you taking concrete steps?
Thank you for that question. You see, the issue of how these plans can be implemented will have to be facilitated first. And that brings me to the point wherein there needs to be a collaboration. And let me say this though, let me say this to you. There is so much we can do, but you see, the burden for truth lies on the ability of those in authority and the willingness to want to not only partner, but to collaborate so that people who have the expertise, who have the knowledge and experience to conduct this work come in place to do this work, whether it's on a voluntary basis, whether it's on charity, whether it's on a consultancy, or however means it is. But I think starting off where we are now is one of the strategic and most important things, which is the awareness and the empowerment aspect of it, because this is a big issue we are faced with. Now, let me give you a typical example. The issue of Odell Sherman and other people, like I was saying to you back studio there, I told you that one of the reasons that prompted me to this whole coming up to talk was the Odell Sherman case. I've sat by and saw lots of cases, lots of things happen. But when I saw the Odell Sherman case and I started to read about some of the things and hear about some of the statements that were made, I came to the realization that this is a big thing. This is more like a syndicate. It's more like a cultural thing that people want to make like a norm in Liberia. And so we have to step in, because I'll say this to you, my brother, if we do not step in and be able to do the right thing, this will continue and this will affect the next generation. It will be challenged, and I could say to you today that it could be a serious pandemic facing off for between the next 5 to 10 years. So I think the awareness part that we are on now, and also the empowerment part where we are encouraging young girls to speak out. We're encouraging boys and men who are violated as well to speak out. We're encouraging our parents, those of our parents, our Omane, our Papede, those people that did not have the opportunity to tell the story. Let them come and speak out, because it empowers, it encourages, and it motivates other people to say, yes, I got to be able to speak out. Psychologically, it would draw attention, not only from the government, not only from the local government, internationally, people would come to pay attention to this thing, because this is a bigger issue we are faced with. And I will hope that the government and other people in authority and other stakeholders will take this very seriously, because this is how we can move forward as a nation.
Samuel, thank you very much for your explanation. If you are just joining us, we're discussing the issue of sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia. My name is Nathan Charles, and I have with me Telvina Cole. She's in the USA. Steve Boley, he's also in the USA. And Samuel Zabi is in Liberia. They are young people. They are Liberians who are actively engaged in the issue of creating more awareness on sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia. you and I know the issue is on the rise. Samuel said it's underreported. And so how can his group create more awareness and eradicating, if not minimizing this menace in our society? So let's come back again to Samuel. Let's hear some children stories from Liberia over the issue of sexual and gender-based violence. What have you been hearing of late since you are working with them?
The most alarming issue we had recently was an issue that occurred in Lofa, where a young girl underage was in sexual activity with the father. That was juvenile delinquency. And then she got pregnant and she gave birth to the child. And so the issue came out. It's so pathetic. And this issue right now is a hot cake right now in Liberia, and all gender sensitive institutions are running behind it to make sure that the perpetrator, is brought to book and law is taking action. There are other issues, child abuse, and a lot of issues. Like I said, we're trying to create a medium wherein we can have whistleblowers and we can have the issues, of gender abuse being reported. But for now, the most alarming issue right now, case right now that we have is about this girl who have been raped by her stepfather, and so this is what we have on deck right now. Jenna is taking action, and we're gonna be collaborating and making follow-ups as part of our assessment. We're going to be maybe in our later broadcast, our later interview with you, we'll be telling you after completing our assessment, we'll be telling you the number of cases, current cases that we have on the deck, and the action of government or the law, what legal action have been taken, and what sort of psychosocial caregiving or empowerment program being outlined or prescribed, for victims. So we'll be telling you that in our next, broadcast with you.
Telvina, yeah, go ahead. But before you come in, I just want to ask, you can add to some of the legal help you are giving these people. Go ahead.
Well, at this point, we're not giving legal help. Like we told you, we're on this awareness phase. So we're giving awareness. At the same time, we're doing our assessment to see, okay, what is the root cause? I see you talk about culture, and Sam alluded to some of the concerns there. We're doing an assessment to see what do we need to do now? What do we need to do now? What do we need to do 6 months from now, 9 months from now, a year from now? So we're not giving legal help in a way, but indirectly, we do have a lawyer on our team. So we had a situation, for example, we brought 2 survivors on one of our shows in Liberia, Radio Monrovia, to give her voice so that she can tell the public, the abuse that she encountered. And so we talked to her, and then we talked to our lawyer to see what can we, what advice can we give to this young lady concerning her issue. But to say we're, consistently giving, legal advice, and right now we're not. We're focusing on the awareness piece, and we're proud to say that, we were able to give her the opportunity, even though she reported her case, but just to give her that environment, 2 of them actually, that environment to speak to the Liberian people about the case, to empower other people to come forward.
So how are you entering into communities to encourage people? What the strategy you're using?
So
yes, let me come in there.
Go ahead.
Yes. How we going into community? But before we go, I come up with that answer. I want to bring it to mind that assessment is very much important, because the issue of victims of sexual violence, it is not just reported like that, because we also have to protect confidentiality, the right of, sometimes the person will say, no, I don't want it to be publicized, and so you, the caregiver, and you're going to have only those parties, those implementing partners that work in giving support we have those information. So we'll be giving, more like we'll be giving you figures, we'll be giving you the kind of cases and what have been done and what need to be done. Now, the issue of how do we get into, we're going to draw an action plan, community entry, because if you don't be careful, the certain community will not accept you. So the very first thing is, in intelligence, you look at the placement of somebody. For instance, Tell is the security, or she's the chair lady, for the market women. And I want to get to the market women. Now, I'm not just going to walk in the market and say, oh, all the market women, I want to talk to you. No, I need to call Tell, because she has, control over the rest of the market women. So as part of our community entry methodology, we're going to be linking up with, let's say, the town chief or community chairman, people that are placed well in position or have certain, influence over the people. We're going to be linking up with them. Then we kind of call this group of people and we kind of educate them, tell them about gender-based violence. In fact, tell them the causes, the end result, the effects, the impact, the negative impact that gender-based violence has. So if you know what you're going to have, I think you're going to be in solidarity, you're going to be in empathy or sympathy with our movement. You're going to say no, but it's wrong. Because I did not know about gender-based violence until I was recruited when I was in SR. When I was recruited and I went for the workshop, I said, oh no, this is pathetic, it is bad. So I became gender sensitive, and that made me to join the campaign. So now we're going to be, using the community entry approach and first of all, capturing those community leaders and community dwellers and kind of, have some workshop or have some discussion with them, giving them some visual aids, the flyers and what have you that we're going to be developing. We're going to come up with that plan, and then and that will help us to be accepted by the community, and then they themselves can join, the campaign to combat gender violence.
Telvina, you wanted to jump in there?
Yeah, so two things. One, I'm not sure if we mentioned that in our intro, that even though we have been doing it on a smaller scale individually, through our nonprofits or even by ourselves, like somebody that Steve, he's been very vocal. He does have a nonprofit, but he's been very vocal on social media. But we just came together about 6 weeks now, putting this group together, putting all of our ideas and our expertise together. So we're doing much. We're doing the awareness, which is the highest priority right now. At the same time, we're doing assessment. So we're working on our actions as well. So I just wanted to set that out, so it doesn't seem like we've been in existence for 1,000 years. Another thing, I know that Samuel talked about a case, but I wanted to bring in some other cases too that are trending. We know about a few days ago, the young lady that Representative Daisy Sibo used his power and authority and put her in jail for reasons best known to himself. And so these are acts of violence that we need to talk about, and it shouldn't be happening. It's unacceptable now, later, and tomorrow. So I'm hoping that the women will jump on this in Liberia. I'm hoping that the women that are in the Senate, including and even our vice president, will jump on this and bring this man to books, bring him to the public, that it becomes part of the agenda for this week. Why he did what he did, and if possible, be reprimanded for what he did, because that's an absolute abuse of power. We also know about the case of the little boy that was, 9 years old, that was sexually molested for a very long time. I have in possession his medical report, and it's disturbing. He was violated in every way. Not only abused, but he was physically also abused by by the perpetrator. So those are the trending cases now, even though he's been arrested. But these are things that we need to talk about. Talk to people on all levels, including a 9-year-old, that in the future that they need to be more vocal. Talking about these things when it happened, and the warning signs and things like that. We have other cases where the other lady, where her eyes were pulled out of her head by intimate partner and violence, and the list goes on and on. But I just wanted to talk about a few that are trending right now. So I'll leave it there, and we can continue.
So let me ask Steve, and maybe you may jump in. You spoke about all the training issues. Are you also providing psychosocial counseling? Are you also providing awareness for people? Though Liberia have not accepted the issue of LGBT, but people are still being victimized. are you also working, identifying them too, Steve?
Thank you so much. As I'm listening, it's Nathan, you will get to understand today that just the way in which Liberia and the culture is used to approaching things in itself speaks volume of where the mindset of the people will be or is at this stage of their lives. Now, let me say this. Maybe people are not used to this, but in this business of psychosocial, mental health, drug abuse, substance abuse, whatever you might turn it to be, anything that has to do with the mental capacity, anything that has to do with how people will function, the ability for people to function rightly as human beings, is not a quick fix. So this issue of, oh, what are you guys providing? What are you guys not providing? We want to change the narrative of what you can do for us, because that mentality in itself, that mentality, what you can give us, that mentality in itself is a traumatic mentality that is being expressed, because people are so subjected to the point that they feel as though every little opportunity they have, instead of them seeking empowerment, they are seeking ways to get handouts. And these are some of the things we want to drift from. We want to bring the Liberian people to the mentality of empowerment, wherein somebody can understand that they elected a lawmaker, and a lawmaker, like the most recent case with with Jason Siebel, the representative. I know sometimes people don't like to talk about some of these things. They'll say, "Oh, don't be political about it. Don't be this, don't be that." But these are facts, though. These are facts. In as much as we don't have the total facts of the reasons for which he used his power and abused his power, what we can say today is the fact that there was an abuse done here, whether you like it or not.
But it was the code. It was the code that sent the girl to jail because she failed to meet her bond.
Well, based on the mandate of the representative, we need to go to the root cause of it, not just the action. You see, we want quick fix. We want quick fix, but you can't quick fix mental issues. You can't quick fix how people will live. We must go back to the issue, and this is what we are saying. We want to come to the issue. This is what I will say this to you. The very first thing to do to help Liberian people is we must conduct an assessment. And we are in the assessment in the awareness phase, wherein we are able to reach out to KMTV and say, KMTV, allow us the opportunity to bring light to some of these stories. Allow us the opportunity to empower, to enforce, to make sure that we are motivating young people, older people to speak out. So we are in the empowerment stage. I want to be very clear, though. I want to be very clear here today. The issue of what we will do or what we can do, it lies in two folds. It lies in the government's ability to be able, we can do all the awareness we want. If the government is unwilling to cooperate, is unwilling, if the lawmakers are unwilling to seek some of these helps, to seek the things that we bring to the table, we will not be effective. Another thing again, another part of it that we must understand is this. We are willing to help. We are willing to bring our expertise. The Liberian people must be open. The Liberian people must be willing for us to work together, because this is a national thing. This is not a CDC thing. It's not an LP thing. It's not a UP thing. It's not even a political thing. It's an entire nation. It's an entire culture, an entire society. The ability for us to move forward lies on us fixing what is wrong. And in order to fix it, this is what we are starting. We're starting with the awareness, we're starting with assessment, and we're starting to reach out so that we can collaborate. So if we are looking at what we can do now, if we are going to provide counseling, yes, we do have the expertise to provide counseling. Is the environment made conducive, suitable? Is it welcoming for us to do it? That is the biggest question. So the question now lies to those who are in authority to be able to be willing to say, oh, we've heard these guys talking, we've seen them talking, what do they have? Let's sit to the table, let them tell us what they can do. Because to be honest with you, my brother, we have noticed that the expertise is not there. The willpower is there, but the expertise is not there. So you work with people that have the expertise. You make things available. You make ways so that these people can come, even on a voluntary basis. You want us to help with counseling? Yes, we can help with counseling.
So are you going to wait until government asks you, or the people like you ask you to do that?
No, not necessarily. And this is what we are doing. We are playing our part now. Just the fact that I can come here and tell you about the mindset of the people, that in itself is stimulating. That in itself, if I were to tell you right now, and I was to tell the Liberian people right now, that maybe the entire nation, I would say maybe 95%, I could be wrong, I stand to be corrected, maybe 95% of the nation is faced with trauma. That is something for people to think about. That is something to reawaken some things in people. If I was to tell you right now that every woman, every man, every boy, every girl who is abused in Liberia has the right to come out and speak and to call out the name of the perpetrator, don't you think that that is a way to empower people? Don't you think that this is something that people should be reaching out who are in power of authority to say, what do you have? What can you do to help us? What can you do for us to fix this together as a nation? I think we should do this in a collaborative effort. And I think KMTV is playing a part too, just for allowing us, allocating time for us to come and have this awareness program alone. You guys are playing a part. So we want to encourage other people to come on board so that we can work together and make sure that we can educate our people. Most importantly, empower our people so that we can eradicate this or we can address this issue of abuse in Liberia.
So let's hear from you, Samuel. And
Nathan, let me come in there.
Okay.
You asked a very good question, and I wanted to address it. You said, are we going to wait for the government to call on us? The government did not call on us 6 weeks ago when we started this awareness. So we did it voluntarily on our own, and we have availed ourselves to government on various platforms. Your platform is probably the number 6 we've been on.
Who's giving you money? Who's giving you money to do this?
It's self-funded. We're using our own resources as we go because we feel that our time, we're volunteers. We don't need the government to pay us to do this. The passion is there. We want to help. But even at that,
no politician, opposition supporting your work.
None at all. And we don't even want it. We want to be able to freely talk about issues, and we don't want to be bounded to anybody or for any kind of gifts or whatever it is, or gratuity or things like that. No, we don't want it. If they're anticipating it, we don't want it. We do not want it. We're professional people. We're okay with our McDonald's jobs. We see the process is broken. We see the system is broken. Our McDonald's jobs. We're contented with it. We see there's a lapse in the process. We need that. We see there are whole loopholes there, and we're saying we want to work with you guys. We want to collaborate with you guys for the betterment of the Liberian people, not for our own good. There's no gain there for us. We don't want political offices or whatever it is, but we want to make it better so that the survivors can benefit. Because at the end of the day, the people need to benefit. The survivors need to benefit. The Liberian people need to benefit. Not us. And so we're doing what we need to do. The government. Are
you also doing assessment with the police too? Because the police is the first line in terms of having evidence. Because sometimes it messes up with evidence, and it thwart the whole case. So are you also working with them or doing some assessment with them too?
So directly, we're not working with them, but we're looking at the work they're doing. So as part of our assessment, we're looking at the work the police doing. We're looking at the work that the Justice Ministry is doing. We're looking at the work that gender is doing. We know that data collection and data dissemination is a problem for them. So we're looking at all of that as part of our assessment as we go. So and as part of this, even though they've heard about us, they've seen us, we're crafting together formal letters to them to let them know who we are, what we're all about. And if we're non-political, we want to help. If you open the door, we'll come there. But we're not chasing you to help us.
We have seen a lot of people come out after a few months down away from the political scene. And that's why my question is based upon how sustainable would this be?
Hello.
I don't want to be talking this. So let my colleagues answer that. I don't want to dominate this conversation.
You say how sustainable? Based on the level of collaboration and our action plan, like we are in the embryo stage right now, we're in the preliminary stage, but we already working. All right. But how sustainable? This particular program, this particular exercise, gonna be sustainable as long as it can be, because general issue is always we're gonna put system into place. So the system that we're gonna put into place is gonna sustain the advocacy, the intervention, the sensitization, the recurrent sensitization. Because even the children right now, all right, there are children right now who witness gender issue. Like I said, the issue of gender-based violence, the custody fighters that have to do with gender-based violence emanates from childhood. Men see their fathers, the children, they saw their fathers, their parents performing these acts. And so they grow up with it. So now, do you know that we already have a new breed of society? In the future, they're already existing. So which means the system that we're going to put into play will tell you that indeed we have a continuity plan to combat gender-based violence. So that is it. It's going to last long, because even after us, we're going to have people who will come after us and continue to preach the message of gender violence. So, but another issue I want to talk on is that of the psychological impact. And I really wish that we would talk about the causative factors of gender-based violence, so that those listening to us, those who are not aware, take for example, stigmatization. The little girl who had been abused by her stepfather, thereby having child. Imagine, put yourself in that situation. You be a little girl abused by your stepfather. You have a child. Oh my God, you have a child. Who that child is? Do you know the leverage of stigma that particular girl and the child carries? Do you care to understand how long they're going to live in that psychological world all by themselves? Do you care to know? Do you care to know what grave impact it has on the mental breakdown and mental disorganization of that particular child? That is just one example. Take for example, the issue of rape. Rape, there are a lot of complications. There are some people, some ladies, some women, some young girls, they don't have child forever. Some of them are involved in gang rape. Some of them are just one time. They don't have child forever. They have, great medical conditions. So it is good that we sensitize the public, men, about this issue. Traditional beliefs. Don't rape your wife, your girlfriend. Don't rape. Don't do it.
But according to our constitution, you can have multiple sex with your wife. It's not a rape. I mean, that's one of the issues in the constitution.
We're not talking about multiple. If you want to be promiscuous, you can be promiscuous. We're not talking about promiscuity. We're not talking about promiscuity. We're not talking about being a polygamist. That is not what we're talking about. Rape, non-consensual sex, non-approved sex. Unconscious.
Our law don't punish that. Once the wife don't approve of a sex and the husband want it, the laws don't persecute the husband. That's our law.
More reasons why we're pushing for amendment of those laws, because we know that those laws, they're not survivor sensitive, they're not more friendly. Let's just say that. They were written ancient days before I was born, and it's okay to amend them. So some of the things we'll be looking at.
Okay, so Samuel, are you also training people on the ground? Do you have
education?
Expertise? Yes.
Education? Yes.
Work with people. How many? Who are those? Where are they from?
That is part of our action plan. We just started, and that is part of the package. We gave you the triple A's. Think about the triple A's. The action has to do with follow-ups on the welfare of on legal issue, legal support for survivor, medical support for survivor, psychosocial support for survivor, reintegration, erasing the issue of stigma from on survivors by the society, empowering them to accept, to cope, give them coping mechanism so that it can be reintegrated and accepted in society and perform, be normal. Do you know what psychological impact? The psychological impact, like Steve was talking about, people just overlook it. Psychologically, it's like the engine of the car. Your brain, your central nervous system, everything is broken down, and you cannot function. You are useless in society, and you end up doing things that you're not supposed to do. You see some people being prostitutes. Some of these people have been raped. All right. So they try to find means to cope. What coping mechanism do we have in place for them? So that will be part of the psychosocial caregiving. So the education aspect is where we're going to reach out to the community to build up their capacity So right now, as part of our discussion, we are telling you the package, our intentions, how we intend to go about doing what we want to do, and how we can be able to project and say, yes, with this particular package or this system we have in place, we think we can move in place.
Okay, we should be wrapping up this special interview. If you just joining us, this is KMTV.
Oh, what's going on? What's going on with me? Okay, I'm back again. I don't know what was going on just now. What's going on? Uh, wow.
Well, it seems as though we're live and we've been live for about 2 minutes. We can wrap it up though. We can have closing comments and wrap it up if you guys want.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting you already. I don't know if you hearing me?
Yes. The host is
Okay.
not on here.
Yeah.
We can give you another 2 minutes. If we don't hear from, we can wrap it up. We can just give our closing comments and end the and end the broadcast. In any case, we're at the hour anyway.
Okay. So
Steve,
Tell, have you reached out to him to see if you can get hold of him?
yeah, I just texted him. Waiting for a response.
okay.
He said to wrap it up. So, yes, he did say to wrap.
So that means
So,
we can give our closing comments.
Yeah, closing comments. Yeah.
Okay then. Steve?
Yes.
Kel? Yeah.
Let me start off here. I just like to say thanks to KMTV for the invite. We look forward to more of this discussion wherein we can educate, inform, and empower our people. Um, Thank you so much to all of you, and thanks to our listeners. Let's have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week. Thanks.
Okay. Tell.
Okay, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all our viewers. I want to say thank you to KMTV for giving us the opportunity to speak to Liberian people. I want to also encourage people to gender violence in Liberia. Also want to encourage, people to continue to speak up, and also want to um, encourage the government too to continue to come up with programs that will come up with solutions to help the Liberian people especially survivors, come up with survivor sensitive programs to help help citizens, educate our people more and more, create more awareness, make yourself available, have those live conferences, podcasts, call them into your offices, engage them and let them engage you, listen to them more and more, and implement actions on all levels. Action, we need more action,
Yeah.
action, and also lastly, I just say thank you, and thank you to everybody, and continue to follow us, join our Facebook page, and we love to hear from you. Give us your feedback, and it will be helpful. Sam, your turn.
Okay. So I want to say thank you to
Sam, are you
the
there?
yes, I'm here, to the KMTV family, and thank you to my colleagues. And we want to say thank you to the public, for the viewers. And we hope that whatsoever information we give, they can use those information and wisely. And we want to use this medium also to invite people, on board. I mean, just get on Facebook and search for Liberia Sexual Gender-Based Violence, awareness group, and then send your invite that you want to be part of the group, and then we admit you into the group, and then we can move on from there. We will also want to use this medium, this Facebook medium, for whistleblowing. If you have any issue of gender violence, feel free and just connect any of us on Facebook, and we'll be able to relate to it. So we want to say thank you very much on behalf of the Liberia Sexual Gender-Based Violence Awareness Group, those in the diaspora and those in Liberia. We want to say thank you and have a goodbye, a good nice weekend.
And let me just say sorry
Oh, okay, you
for
back.
Sorry, can I?
we had some technical issues, technology just hit me off the live broadcast. So let me apologize to all our viewers and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I must admit, thanks for
1 minute about the membership.
yes,
The
go
membership
ahead.
that Sam talk about. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's important that I bring that. And talking about people to join us, we have a Facebook, a WhatsApp group as well for members only. And the membership is free for people in Liberia. If you believe in a cause, reach out to any one of us on Facebook. You fill out the application, we'll add you to the WhatsApp group. And for people in the US, we have a $25 application loan with $100. You can pay it in different installments. Don't feel pressure to pay in lump sum. But more important than we need you to us, we know together we can do exploits. And so we need you to join us as we form an army to wage war against sexual violence. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and you, Steve, what's your parting comment to our viewers?
Well, thanks to KMTV. Thanks for all you guys do. Thanks to the Liberian people for tuning, for listening. We are optimistic. We are hopeful, and we are praying as well that we can work together to ensure that we not only tackle, prevent, but we can also have a solution to gender-based violence in our country. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's the voice of Steve Foley, a member of this newly group that will be battling, fighting, advocating for issues of sexual and gender-based violence. Telvina Cole, a strong advocate. I see her; she's so passionate. So tell me why are you so passionate, man? I see hands of what? What group is that? Your mic is on. It's off, Telvina. Okay.
I forgot to show my T-shirt, so it's important. I'm sure they've seen it all over social media. But this is our message to the perpetrators and the enablers of sexual violence. Hands off our women, hands off our men, and hands off our children. And to answer your question, why I'm passionate, I mean, for several reasons. I have not been directly sexually violated, but I've heard so many about people that have been violated. I have relatives, friends that have been violated at all levels. I also come from, I was in a abusive marriage, and I'm proud to say that I safety planned and I walked out of it, and so I can tell the story. I can encourage somebody with through that story. But more so, I want to give back. I've done this, in America, in my communities, through the sheriff department or CCA, giving back. But there's nothing more rewarding than giving back to our own people. I want to give back, like everybody else. We want to give back most of all. We have a passion to give back, and that's the takeaway from all of this.
So when you hear about
I'm done.
When you hear about women and children, men being sexually abused, how do I get to you?
Yes. So, Nathan?
Yes, go ahead.
Or I'll let him go for it.
Yes, we're just giving some medium, like the Facebook right now. We're trying to design that whistleblowing strategy because whistleblowers are very much important in society. They can get harmed. So we don't just want people just rushing out, on the media, and just say, oh, this happened, But when you get on our Facebook page, you get our links. We're going to have our emergency call number where you can call us at any time and give us information. But what we are doing is that we want to build a larger army, a bigger army. We want everybody, if possible, the whole of Liberia can come and the whole of US can come and join us, no problem. But we want more people to come to be educated on gender issue. We want them to be gender sensitive, so that when you are gender sensitive and you know what gender-based violence is all about, how it started, people are doing it subconsciously, and this thing started way back up to present. So when you get to know the side effect, like what Tia was just talking about, she understands what it means to be gender abuse. So that's the same thing here. Since I've been conscientized and sensitized, I'm on it. She knows 24/7. I don't sleep. I'm ready at any time. Whenever my phone alarms, I'm ready to talk and respond. So that is just it. That's the passion, because we want to help humanity. We have the love for humanity, and we want to give back to humanity. That's all, Steve, Nathan. I hope that you yourself can be a part of this particular network and make sure that we combat gender-based violence.
As a matter of fact, when I was in Liberia in 2012, I won the President of Liberia Human Rights Award report for the entire country. And cool. I also a member of the Journalists for Human Rights based in Canada. We train local journalists to report these issues. So if you want to partner with us, we have our group there, Sexual and Gender-Based Violence. These are trained journalists who went through 6 months of training with the Oxfam GB, went to Canadian. We travel to other countries to do sexual and gender-based violence. So they are separate reporters, journalists who are trained, and they can also be part of your network aimed at creating more awareness, reporting these issues. Because I tell you, currently we have over 5 or 10 person currently in jail from our investigation. We were able to help the police apprehend them. Yes, so we've been doing a lot of great works, but since I left Liberia, I don't know how active is the group. Most of my colleagues now in government and stuff like that, but we're still working with a couple of local journalists, training them. So I can assure you on behalf of KMTV, we can help promote more awareness, assign journalists to you people to report this issue, because it is not in the media, it is not on the radio. And, people don't hear these things. So you need a robust media team too, apart from, your entry level, you need the media. So
Yes.
yeah, and wherein Steve will come in with his social counseling that is needed to, because even in the school, like I was reading a
Yeah.
couple of reports with this coronavirus, people at home, they are being abused. And there'll be
Yes.
a lot of stories like that. Are you hearing some, Steve, in Liberia like that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, when we were on a Costa show, I predicted to the Liberian people that there will be an uprise in sexual violence because of this state of emergency order that were put in place. And so, because you have, take for example, you have this uncle that comes from work that's abusing this girl. Now he doesn't have to go to work. Guess what happened? That's going to be something that he would do, and he would do it continuously for the time that So these are things that we're able to predict based on different studies and based on different patterns we've seen over the years. And so, yes, you're 100% right that there are, and there will be more that will come out, even worse. I also predict that there will also be a lot of teenage pregnancy and unwanted pregnancy due to this, due to the rape and violation. And so it's a big trouble, and it's holistic. We have to address it from that perspective.
Yes. And Nathan, Steve is saying he sounds, pessimistic because um, there is no yardstick. There's no yardstick. There's no strong defense system put into place to mitigate the rate of sexual violence and gender-based violence. And psychosocially, this is something that is very serious, because the only way you can be able to combat this issue is to deal with the mentality. So psychosocial counselors, social workers are people who should be empowered. But unfortunately, we have less psychologists in Liberia. We have less social workers. We don't have people that have that appetite to work in those fields. So the caseload is heavy. So the only thing we can do here as a group, as an institution, is to be able to sensitize, create more awareness as part of our 3As, create more awareness and see how best we can educate these people, the major stakeholders, based on their places, their placement, based on the kind of work they do, the influence they have in society. That will help. So we're trying to help. So yes, we are saying the case load going to be, but I believe if we all can put efforts together and influence government and to support us, especially when it comes to applying legality, on perpetrators, the rule of law take its course, and empowering us, the community empowering, accepting us. This can help. So we don't want to be pessimistic, but indeed, this is just, science is just, reality. I mean, you cannot, go away from it. This is gonna happen if you don't do this. So what we want to do now, we visualize the threats that lies ahead, the cases, the influx of cases, gender abuses. So we're trying to see how best we can fight it and make sure that it doesn't work.
Okay, you hear it for yourself. Three young Liberian who have engaged into the issue of sexual and gender-based violence, creating more awareness. They spoke about the 3A plan, and they are organizing themselves to work with the people in Liberia, how to expose, how to create more awareness on issue of sexual and gender-based violence. It's a pleasure having you people on my platform, Samuel, Telvina, and Steve. Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Okay, this is KMTV,
And thanks
and
to our viewers for listening.
this is KMTV, and we've been discussing the issue of sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia, and I had few Liberians who have been engaged in, who are organizing a platform, who are organizing themselves to create more awareness on issue of sexual and gender-based violence. My name is Nathan Charles. Let us keep encouraging our people to report any acts of sexual and gender-based violence. Until we come your way again, we say bye for now. Thank you very much.